thanks for stopping by. My name is Copy, and this is none of the things I share is financial advice. Just this is only so if you can take this as an entertainment purpose only, that would be great. I've been sharing my technical analysis on Twitter, X, and also Reddit. Same name as a Ucopy. Some of you probably find it through X or Reddit. Thanks for all the support. There are a bunch of other also technical analysis guy out there. I have my own thesis. I've been tracking AMC since 2021 January. So of course, some people also have their own views with their own TAs and chart and the algorithm and other indicators, same as mine. So not always what I said is 100%, right? Sometimes the direction is probably right, but also the timing wise is also difficult to match. So because it's all run by the market makers and the engineers behind the scenes. So so this is just entertainment purpose only. I actually tweeted this one last week, just to show a comparison between January, June, and October, where we at. People talks about like why we have, why do we drop so sharply, and then today's price action. I'm filming this on October 16 on Monday. We had an okay movement. It didn't go too crazy downside. We got shorted here today, but there's always a reason behind it, right? There's usually either gaps there to fill. I checked the 5 minutes, and I do saw there was a gap here at a $9 and 0.6. There's a gap that wasn't filled. I think it was filled like partially, maybe. It was 100% filled. So today was today's price action in the morning to drop down here was to fill the gap, and there's no gap down below. So I think we are good to go. And then the lines that I drew here from the D area where they start to breaking out, and also put another line on the top of it. This merge around here, which tells me, if that's the correct, this is Monday, this is Tuesday, this purple line is Tuesday, this bar, another next bar is a Wednesday. So probably like either Wednesday or Thursday, or possibly Friday, somewhere between this Wednesday to between Friday, we're gonna start to see a breakout. So I think that's something that we want to look out for, because that's when it is merged. I also want one more thing I want to point out is that there's a moving average that I use. The blue line is 180, and then the yellow line is a 200 moving average. Pink line is 360 moving average, and then there's something I want to show you in June, because it's very similar to what we saw last Friday. So this is 2021 May. What I want to show you is so this is actually let me just kind of label here so you know where we at. So this is current 2023 October. So what you're looking at is between 2023 and this is January. This is May 2021. As you can see, when they hit the bottom, they did the dilution, right, in April. They did exactly when it was on the top here on April 27th. That's when they declared the dilution. This is the actual filing. So that's what they did, April 27, 2021. And then there was a sharp decline. It down to about minus probably like 20 something percent, 24%. And then when they start to hit bottom, it started to moving up, right? The thing you want to see is it creates a higher lows. The bottoms are kind of elevated, Same thing here. It's very slight movement, but you could see whenever there's a shorting happening, the bottoms are elevated. It's creating higher lows from A, C, B, right? C, D. Same here, right? It's zigzag pattern, but the bottoms are moving up. And what happened afterwards, after they create some sort of like triangle formation here, it start break out, right? So it broke out here, also same thing. What I want to show you here is the moving average. You see the blue line here. This is 30-minute chart. When they short this one, it touched this blue line, and that gives me a good confirmation that this is all they can do. You see here, blue line, it touched the blue line, it got shorted a little bit here. We also got shorted a little bit more here, but that's pretty much it. That's all they can do. That's all they wanted to fulfill, touching this blue line before they move upside. If you move it to 1 hour chart, now the chart changed, right? The pink line is above the 200 moving average, which means that there's no more downside. So yeah, that's something I wanted to share, is that it's very similar. The moving average is very similar to this one, June area. So I don't know if we're gonna move similar to June, but that's just one thing I saw, so I wanted to share that. Before I move to further, I wanted to talk about where we're going and then where we at. So this is a 2-day moving average. Basically, the purpose of showing this is to look at the whole chart in a bigger picture, looking at, are we in a bear market or are we in a bull market? Like I said, the blue line, when the blue line is above, on top of the yellow 200 moving average, it enters a bear cycle, and it goes for lasts about 2 years or something, right? However, when this pink line, so when this cross and then when this pink line touch this area above the yellow line, that means it's entering a new bull cycle, and that's what we saw 2021 January. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, all those thing is sort of like a setup for Fed to print more money before they enter the bull market, so that all those financials, the investors, the forces, they can take profits, or they can pump up the, basically liquidity. They're just creating a liquidity event. So I think that's what happened with the thing, right? So now we went through this whole January 2021 to June. As you can see, this moving average, like I said, when the blue line goes above the 200 moving average, the yellow line, it enters bear cycle. So that's what we did. We went through a bear cycle in 2020, I think 2021 December. So we went through the whole thing, and then we are here. And now when you look at this line, where this, now you see this pink line is across, and it's above the yellow moving average, which is the same setup as this new bull cycle happened, right? So that's what I want to tell you is we are no longer bear cycle. We are entering a new bull cycle. And how do I know we are at the bottom? There's one more thing I want to show you, is this one. Let's look at the daily chart. At the end of the triangle formation, they create this type of creating a bottom around March when the happened, and they they left the gap, and then they moved up, and then throughout the whole May, April to October, they were kind of looking like moving up, but because they left the gap, they did the gap up, they filled the gap around September to October. So basically, they filled the gap here. This thing happened at the end of the cycle. We did pretty much a similar thing here with this in 2023 January early this year. Come back down, gap up, fill the gap, gap up, fill the gap. They did kind of similar move here. So I do expect that this type of move was happening around here. Actually, very double bottom here, double bottom setup. And after that, it moved up, and then also left the gap. They did the gap up and then come back down. But then when they come back down, they did almost all-time low, slightly lower than what you saw here in April 2020. And then this thing new bull cycle kicks in, squeeze. And same thing also, when they start to run, they also did a gap up, and this whole gap were filled this time when they actually are moving down back down here and fill all the gap. And then while they are actually coming down, they also left the gap. So there, I do expect that they set up this gap to be filled in a coming month. And also you see this is daily. Also same thing when they coming down, when the bear cycle happened, they left this gap here, and then all this gap were filled when the stock turns into a new bull cycle. So squeeze happened, they fill this gap, and the next second squeeze also fill these two gaps here, and then done, right? Basically, all the gaps were made in January 2021 were filled, so now there's no more gaps to be filled in daily. Now we have a gaps to fill in here, and also when you look at the 12 hours, there's also gap here at $87, and there's also gap here at $210. This is my just only speculation, not a financial advice. I cannot give you any price target because I have no idea how they're gonna run this thing. If one of the small hedge fund or medium-sized hedge fund, bigger hedge fund, I don't know. If one of them got liquidated or margin call, maybe this price can go up even higher. So I cannot really give you any of a price target. But one thing I can tell is the gap, because the gap will be filled most of the time here, as you can see. Also, when you look at the GameStop, all same thing. They left the gap during the downturn, and then as they move to a new bull cycle, squeeze happened. As Ryan Quinn got in, got squeezed, all this gap were filled, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. So this gap, $88, I do expect this gap to be filled in this run. I'm not sure if $209 gap will fill this time. If this gap were to be filled this time, then I will watch out. As they come down, they might leave some gap to be filled for the next round of squeeze. That's like June squeeze coming up, probably coming up end of either April or end of March, somewhere between. So I'm gonna watch out in next year 2024 April for that June type of squeeze. So yeah, so that's all I can say. So as I told you, we are entering a new bull cycle because the pink line is above the yellow line as 2021. Blue line is on top of it, on top of the yellow line. That's a bear cycle. So the bear cycle is done. So let's go back to this chart that I made and I posted on Reddit and Twitter of the comparison of the 2020 January and June and now. The interesting thing is in January, when they hit the bottom, they also did the dilution in November and also December. So this is what they did in April, end of April. This is what we did in September 6th this year. You see December 11th, they did the dilution, and a month later, squeeze happened, right? So I do feel like the dilution helped the short seller to basically the short seller use the dilute shares to cover their short positions because they cannot locate the shares because a lot of shareholders and apes are actually holding it, right? So because they did the dilution, I do expect some short covering is going to happen. I think because of in the market, the liquidity is getting dry. Maybe it's taking a little more time. So when you look at it, this A area is a lot shorter than what we saw today. This year's so this is I think September, between September to October, they had a much longer period of this accumulation of A before it breaks out. And the interesting thing is this A phase is very similar to right before the Judge Jern happened here. You saw there's a 70% squeeze here. Very similar move. Same thing, hit the bottom and then moves ups and down, creating kind of like higher lows, A, B, C, like that. It's very clear, and after that it shoots up, right? So this type of movement, I think we are seeing actually here, very similar move, ups and down, higher lows. Stiffness is very lower compared to here because it's much more stiff here, right? Anyway, so we went through this phase and then it broke out. So that's what we saw here. We went through this, broke out. So I do expect to see next phase, which is a C phase, which is going right before the squeeze happen. I don't think this is a squeeze, but this is possible like a maybe gamma squeeze. So from here where we at, it creates a triangle formation, right? Yeah, it got shorted pretty massively, right? So it come back down very sharply, but move back up like that, creating a triangle formation, and then broke out. Very similar thing to June actually. When you look at the June, the way it moves, moving like a bull flag, right? It create like a bull flag, but they got shorted, which is like here, and they touched the blue line, which I told you previously. When it touched the blue line, that's kind of like fulfilling the downside. So there it means like okay, there's no more downside. So it fulfills here also. It touched the blue line in 30 minutes. It fulfilled the downside. There's no more downside. It has to go upside. So I do expect that we're gonna move up down here, ups and down, and then today what we saw was it got shorted a little more, but come back up, right? So it's tried to stay in this triangle formation area, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. They left some gap here, so yeah, this will be gap filled. Yeah, this gap here, and more gaps here. So actually, you see these gaps were left before they moved downside, so they'll kind of slowly come up to fill this gap. And then I told you that how when the pink line is above the yellow line, and when the candle touches, it goes upside. So yeah, so to go up here, I do feel like we need to wait until Wednesday. The chart filling this triangle formation area, and then it breaks out. So I think let's watch out till Wednesday, Thursday, and see how that happens. I'm expected to see something like this in next week or even the end of this week. Let's look at the MACD first. Maybe I want to show you the bigger picture with also MACD. I told you about how the downside is made here and here when the blue line is above the yellow line that I have. Also MACD, when you look at the here in 2017 when the bear market started, yeah, MACD also comes down here whenever it got shorted a lot. But the important thing you want to watch out for is even this one, the MACD lines, the blue and orange lines, it's creating the higher lows. Interestingly, right? Same thing happening here. We got the blue line touches here, which is when the 2021 December. That's when the bear cycle kicks in. However, this also creating a very significant higher lows, very clearly, right? So that's what we saw here. And then now I'm expecting to see a Jan type of run here. When you look at the January here, this is where we at. The lines are here. So when I drew a line, yellow line, to go all the way up to the January area, this is why one of the reasons why I cannot explain this on Twitter with only text and images, because it's more complex than just text and just words and images, right? So what we want to look out for is here. So in January, the green bars are coming up slowly and start to move up, right? I told you the lines are here. So what we want to see is when the lines, this blue and orange lines, go above this this middle line, it shows a positive price action. We are still not there yet. We are still here. It looks to me that it's January 2020. Let's look at the January 20 here. So January 20 is here, this area. That's when they got shorted here. they had a gap up. Well, but we didn't have a gap up. People ask, is it important? Is it better to have a gap up? No, it's not always better to have a gap up. The gap, they're gonna gap up, but their gap needs to be filled, right? So yeah. So anyway, so we are here. So it's very similar, right? And then when you even look closely, what happened to January 20? Let me show you in 2 hours. Here, same thing. It got shorted. That's what we saw on Friday. Come back down, ups and down, zigzag, creating a triangle formation move, and then shoot up, right, at the end of the peak of the triangle formation. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. This is 2 hour. So let's look at what happened here in terms of the chart, the indicator. What I'm looking at is the lines here, blue and orange line. So it's it got shorted, so it come back down. Let's see, it's creating a similar movement here. Yes, so it come back down. Yeah, so now what you're looking at is we are here. This is 2 hour. So what's happening here is red. The red is getting weaker, right? The strength of the short is getting weaker. So this thing is slowly coming down, and then it's about to turn green, right? So that's very interesting, right? So hopefully Tuesday, I think Wednesday we're gonna see a very clear move of the positive price action, and then probably by Wednesday or Thursday we're gonna start to see a breakout. So yeah, hopefully yeah, I think that's what I'm looking at. So Wednesday, Thursday, yeah. So that's MACD. I want to share with you, and let's look at the 4-hour RSI, because that's something I found interesting in here in June. Because market makers and engineers are very sophisticatedly, make this a chart, and yeah, this time they use this kind of like right before June chart for this accumulation phase. They use this year's chart. They also use some of the Jan and June squeeze chart. So they're just kind of mixing up. So it's really complex to find out, their duration and the speed of the algorithm. So I want to show you one last thing, RSI. Let's look at RSI. This is 4 hours. The RSI was green, which means that it was overbought, but it doesn't mean anything because this is 4-hour chart. When you look at the daily, it's not overbought yet, right? It's just that you're looking at the 4-hour much more closely. So what you're looking at here is the yellow lines hitting up the top, coming down, the purple line come back here. I think this is kind of support and start to moving up here, right? So I think they're gonna start to merge together, right? So yellow line probably come back up probably tomorrow. This purple line will go up and then meet together and then probably move together. I think that's this type of similar move happened in June, and I want to show you that right now. So when you look at the June here, so like I said, in 2021 April 27, they did the dilution, got shorted, and this was the bottom before the squeeze happened, right? They create this accumulation phase, move up, run, and come back down, creating this triangle formation, and that's kind of similar to where we at. So they did the same thing in 2 hour. So hit the bottom here. This was the bottom of the chart and RSI. So I'm just gonna draw a line here. So this was the bottom of it, right? This is the bottom of it, creating a triangle formation, and then start to moving up here. That's what we saw last week, right? Right before the we got shorted on Friday. Also showed turn green, and then what happened? I got shorted, right? So it come back down. So shorted, come back down, right? And then kind of creating the support line here, right? Which is what I kind of create a line with. And after they come from the bottoms, and then at the end of the peak of the triangle formation, start to break out again. So we're gonna see a very similar move here. That's what I'm expecting here. When you also look at the January, I think it's slightly different, but I can show you again. Like I said, when you compare to January, it will be around January 20th, like I said. So they did a gap up, but we didn't gap up. We just kind of move up like June. June didn't gap up. I don't think it just kind of move up. Oh, they did gap up here. Sorry. So but for this time, we didn't gap up. So we didn't gap up. We just move slowly, like a slow squeeze, and come back down. And that's what you see here. Go up, turn green, come back down, and then shoot up again. So that's kind of very similar move here too. Turn green on the top, come down, create support, and go up. But based on RSI, I think when I compare to June and January, I think I'm seeing more like a June type of RSI here. When I compare to where we at here, right? This is where we at. It's very similar to June, I think, right? Sharp decline, turn green on the top, come back down, right? Very similar to June RSI. Here, yeah, come back down very sharply, but January wasn't that sharp. So yeah, that's the one thing that I wanted to share with you guys for the RSI. Oh, one thing I forgot is that yeah, so that's pretty much it for the MACD and RSI. Just before the end this video, I want to talk about the gap here. So based on what I show you, there's a couple scenarios I'm looking at. Doesn't mean that we can always go like this, but we could kind of predict how it's gonna move, right? So this blue line is a June one. This light blue one is a January. So maybe I can change the color so that you can distinguish maybe better. Maybe I'll bring this one to orange one. So this is more like a June type of run. So let's look at the January type of run first, and then we could take a look at the June type of run, okay? So first of all, we have a gap here between 1180, somewhere between 1170 or 80 to 12. So let's say $12 gap here. And then we have another big gap here that were left while they come down between 1664 to 1945 or something like that. A huge gap here, right? Let's say we call this $17 to $19 gap. Now let's move up to here. We have a big gap here. Let's call it $40 gap. Big gap here. So all these gaps were left when they start to coming down. So when you look at the Jan type of squeeze from where we at, based on what I show you, also Jan came down, moved up slowly, and then breaking out at this triangle formation. At the peak of the triangle formation, fill this $12 gap, and then heading to somewhere between this $18-19 gap right before $20 gap, and then squeeze. So that's kind of like scenario, and filling this gap and then move all the way down to possibly 120. This is not financial advice, of course. I don't know how much it'll go, but that's kind of what I'm looking at, right? We also have in 12 hours we have a gap here at $86. So it makes sense that it could fill all this gap here and fill at the top of the gap at $86. I'm not sure if this will fill the gap if we run like a January squeeze, because they did the halting, and then the brokers such as Robinhood and Webull, whatever, they removed the buy button. So maybe they could create some sort of like a panic or some sort of event for the stock to come down, right? Like basically they need algorithm to come down. So they probably create an event, something like that. If it doesn't, and if it moves like a June squeeze, which I have it here as well, let's turn this orange a little brighter so you can see. And I'm gonna turn this back down a little bit so you can kind of focus on the June one. So this is a June squeeze chart, right? Come back down. What happened? Same thing. Start to breaking out at the end of the triangle formation, and then that also helped to fill the gap at a $12 one and $18 one right before $20 one, right? All these gaps were filled, and then one more. Maybe it could come down again. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe it could squeeze right away. It could come down, right? But this is just based on the June squeeze. So yeah, so this is what I'm looking at here. So if we're going like a June type of squeeze, I think the squeeze could potentially could happen in November, somewhere between um, end of November. Yeah. So yeah, and then if this happen, this can fill the gap at $210 range here. Um, so yeah, let's see how this plays out. This may be a little longer squeeze. But yeah, I think November is gonna be a big month that all this meme stock, even BBBY, I'm also tracking. That will squeeze too. I'm also a holder of BBBY. I know some of you might also hold BBY, but when BBY was available, right now I do believe that they're going through a merger acquisitions. When I did the technical analysis on the BBY, like I told you about how right now we are entering a new bull cycle for AMC and possibly like maybe small cap, mid cap stocks. Same thing here. This is COVID happened. This is I think March or April, creating this kind of like a zigzag pattern going through this ascending channel, and they did a breakout here. I think they did that in September. If I brought the same timeline to where it's at, this breakout points, the C phase, should be around mid November to December, and it seems like they're also kind of taking time through court filings and hearings and stuff. And I think I'm hoping to see some announcement very soon. BBY is also coming into this bull cycle. When the pink line is above the 200, the yellow line, that's bull cycle in daily. This is daily also. This is 200 moving average. This pink line is also here. When the timeline of this line touches is around end of October to November. So it's very clear that they understand those billionaires and activist investors, or because they're billionaires, they could. I'm pretty sure they have their own technical analysis expert on the side to tell them which month or which time is the best time to announce a major event to run this thing. So, and that kind of like lines up. It has to line with how the machine kind of runs too. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So if we have a January type of squeeze for AMC here in somewhere between end of October, November, something like that. The next one coming up, the June squeeze, I think that will come in April, which also line up with the BBY. That's also line up in BBY in April. So because also they did a main breakout, the C, and then they went through a couple months or 3 months downside and creating a big triangle formation before they squeeze in January. It wasn't as big as AMC or GameStop, but they did have a squeeze. When these two line up with where it is at with the time frame of the 2021, I see November, and then 2024 next year April is the sort of like a liquidity event or squeeze event. So that's pretty much it, guys. So let's continue watch out how this plays out, and then I'll come back with another video when I have to share with the video again, because sometimes, like I said, it's hard to explain things with only text and then images on Twitter, X. So next time if I need to share something with the video, I'll come back probably for maybe March or April or something like that, because that's the final June type of squeeze. Yeah, so I'm just gonna wrap up here. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, for everyone who watched this thing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully this helps, and then best of luck in the market. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye bye.